Hello everyone! Today's joke of the day follows up on yesterday's joke. What do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Stay tuned to find out. Now that we learned a little bit about scientific notation, our learning target today is I can multiply monomials in scientific notation. So we're going to try and multiply the following numbers that are in scientific notation and make sure that all the final answers are in scientific notation. And we'll see what that means once we get started with this first one. Okay, so 6.5 times 10 to the negative third times 7 times 10 to the fifth. Well, the first thing we want to do is multiply our coefficients. So we have the 6.5 and the 7. And if we type that into our calculator, we do 6.5 times 7 to get, which equals 45.5. Oh, forgot that decimal in there. And you should type that into your calculator to double check that I got the same thing, or that you get the same thing as me. Okay, and now we want to multiply we know it's going to be times 10 to some power. Well, here we're multiplying monomials, right? And so we want to add our exponents. Okay, so we get negative 3 plus 5 equals 2. So we have 45.5 times 10 to the second. Now, this is pretty close to scientific notation, but we're not quite there yet because we want, in scientific notation, all of our coefficients, right? Our coefficient right there, that 45.5, those all need to be between 1 and 10, okay? So 45.5 isn't quite between 1 and 10, so we need to move our decimal place. We're going to move it one spot to the left to get 4.55. Okay, now 4.55 is between 1 and 10, but what do we have to do with our exponent? Well, we moved it to one place to the left, which means that we are going to need to move it more places to the right in order to write it back in standard form. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, so we have 10 to the second, so we're going to add 1 to our power. So our final answer will be 4.55 times 10 to the third. Okay, let's check our work by rewriting it in standard form. Okay, so if we had 45.5 times 10 to the second, we're going to move our decimal place 2 places to the right to rewrite it in standard form. Okay, well, and then if we have 4.55 times 10 to the third, we have to move our decimal place 3 places to the right. These are the same answers, so we know that we did it correctly. And if you ever have any doubt, I would check your work. Okay, you can always check your work when we're multiplying numbers in scientific notation by rewriting them in standard form. Okay, so now let's look at another one. We have 6.5 times 10 to the 12th times 1.95 times 10 to the negative 15th. Well, if we want to first multiply our coefficients, right? That's 6.5 and that 1.95. We type that into our calculator, and we should get 12.675. Okay, and we're multiplying, so we want to add our exponents. So we'll have 12 plus, oops, that doesn't really look like a plus. 12 plus that negative 15, which is going to equal negative 3. So we're going to have 12.675 times 10 to the negative third. But again, we're not quite in scientific notation because 12.675 is not between 1 and 10. So we're going to move our decimal place 1 place to the right, which means we need to add 1 to our exponent. So our final answer should be 1.2675 times 10 to the negative second. And I've already showed you how to check your work, so if you want to make sure you're doing it right, please go back and check your work. But for now, we'll look at the next one. 3.5 times 10 to the negative third times 7 times 10 to the fifth. Okay, we look at our coefficients, that 3.5 and that 7. We type that into our calculator, and we should get 24.5. Should be doing this along with me, so you make sure you know how to do it. Times 10 to, again, we're multiplying, so we add our negative 3 plus 5, which will give us 2. So we have 10 to the second power. But we need to move our decimal place 1 to the right, which means we need to add 1 to our exponent. So we should end up with 2.45, oh, missed that decimal point, 2.45 times 10 to the third. We have one last one here. 4.3 times 10 to the negative third times 4.5 times 10 to the fourth. When we multiply our coefficients, our 4.3 times 4.5, we should end up with 19.35. And we know that's going to be times 10 to some power. Well, we add our exponents. We have negative 3 plus 4. That will give us 1, so 10 to the first. But we need to write it in scientific notation, so we have to move our decimal place 1 to the left. So we have to add 1 to our exponent. Okay, so our final answer in scientific notation will be 1.935 times 10 to the second. Okay, today we always were, in order to rewrite in scientific notation, we were moving to the left, right? And so if we're moving our decimal point to the left, this is left, right? Moving the decimal to the left, then we add 1 to the exponent. You'll see tomorrow when we start moving our decimal place to the right, we're going to have to do the opposite, right? When we're dividing, we'll end up having to move it to the right, which means we will subtract 1 from the exponent. But we will talk about that more tomorrow. Now, I know you're all dying to hear the answer to the joke. What do you call a deer with no eyes and no legs? Still no idea. Thanks for listening and have a great day.